This is sort of like just me directly talking to you, Charlie style, moist critical, you know, some ordinary gamers. You can consider me like a some ordinary gamers. That's who. I'm an engineer. Worked at Blizzard for 20 years. Just kidding. Okay, so jokes aside, the first thing I wanted to talk about today is the new South Park season. So when I was young, I was allowed to watch South Park as opposed to many of the people my age. I remember being like 6 or 7 when I had the DVDs, and I would sort of watch those. And then around 6th grade, maybe early 7th grade, I think it was 6th grade, I first watched the South Park movie. Now, there's a lot of people, progressives, who think South Park is just sort of like a right-wing show, which it mostly is, but a better way to describe it, in my opinion, would be like a contrarian show. They sort of push against whatever is like the politically popular thing at the time. And so I remember my first positive introduction to gay people was through South Park, with Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. And then also within a couple of years of that, they did the South Park movie where they were basically in support of the Iraq invasion. They had Saddam Hussein as sort of like a weird lying squeaky man who like was building bombs, but like was calling them cookie factories. And these bombs, these weapons of mass destruction, they were never proven to exist, even though we invaded a whole country over it. So that's probably not a great thing. Other notable things is the Caitlyn Jenner stuff. Then there's, Mr. Garrison's Fancy New Vagina, both pretty transphobic episodes. And then what's another? See, it's kind of hard to find much progressive messaging in there, that's for sure. But I don't know if I would call it a strictly conservative show. But let's leading up to today, I was preparing myself to watch the newest season, and I watched the very first episode of the newest season, and I thought it was funny. I think that the critiques of ChatGPT are there, like with Randy talking to ChatGPT to answer basic questions, and then I laughed at the part where he said "Good night, honey," and the ChatGPT responded with Sharon sitting on the other side of the bed. That was pretty funny. I do think that South Park is a mixed bag politically, but I also think that it's important for like it to be speaking out against the Trump regime currently at this time. And it's not new. Anybody who watches South Park knows that they've talked shit about Trump every single time he's been in office, and this time isn't very unique. Like, it's not very extreme for what South Park usually does. I think the most that they've pushed it in these episodes is directly portraying their Trump character as Trump and doing like the tiny dick thing. But I don't think that really means a lot when they've been making fun of him every single presidency like beforehand. They clearly don't agree with progressivism. They clearly don't like the whole, for them, woke is like liberals. Woke is like a centrist who like believes in very like basic, like not being outright bigoted towards people. Like that's like what they consider woke, and I think that that's sort of like a misappropriation of the term. It's definitely how conservatives use it. But the only reason why that's like gained popularity is because they used to call everybody communists and socialists, and that doesn't work when you're talking about liberals. Everybody looks at you like you're dumb, but you call everybody woke, then everybody takes you seriously for some reason, which I don't understand, but who knows? Who knows why they would do that? The fact is that they do it. Let's see if there's any chats, any comments in the chat room. There's no comments in the chat room. Let's think. More South Park. South Park has probably said more slurs than any other TV show. It might have said, like at this point, it might have said more slurs than any other TV show combined. You know, they even in this not the most recent episode, but the first episode of the new season, they use the R word, they use the F slur. I mean, before they've used the N word plenty of times. They've used the K word for Jews. They've used like even more obscure ones, which I'm not sure I could even say or not, because they're so obscure that it's like I don't know the exact extreme I don't know the exact like intensity of the slur. I don't know if it's like worse or better, so I'm not going to say any of them. But like there's a whole episode where they go to the Camp of Tolerance and they go on the slur ride, and it's just like saying slurs to them. And then I mean, even before they started introducing slurs so liberally, there was a lot of like Cartman, the main character, one of the main characters is anti-Semitic towards another one of the main characters from the beginning of the show on. And I think I really do think that like might have normalized like anti-Jewish like bigotry jokes, like for me, for the people around me, for younger people in general. I mean, it's the first time I ever heard of like Jews being greedy or like Jew gold or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, not a great track record when it comes to normalizing slurs and like bigoted hate. But speaking out to power is something they've always been pretty good at. It's just, I just don't even, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if the impact is as big or as important as some people make it out to be, but I think if you were to take all of the positives and put them against the negatives, you'd get just the slightest little like margin of it being like a net negative, you know. I don't think the slightest little margin of it being a net negative, and I don't think it's a net positive of a show. But also, I don't really know if like adult cartoons ever have good politics, or if anybody should get their politics from them. And that's kind of the sad part, is like a lot of people, they don't study or learn. They learn about politics from these shows. So like I'm sure plenty of people have really dumb politics because their favorite show is Family Guy, and they've never engaged with politics other than like what Family Guy says is like politics. And same with South Park. South Park is worse than Family Guy when it comes to that, but Family Guy's still pretty bad. They did like a Boston bombing joke with Peter's one Muslim friend. I mean, it's definitely like they're all sort of infected with the same anti-Muslim bigotry. I mean, the way that they have caricaturized Muslims is like miles ahead of what they've done to any other like minority of people. You know, maybe trans people have gotten almost as bad of a rap as Muslims on South Park, but I mean, it's pretty clear that Trey Parker, maybe Matt Stone's not really a writer, but Trey Parker doesn't seem to like Muslims. So I don't know. Take that what you will. Take that for what you will. That's that segment. I think I got 10 minutes out of that.